As a gamer in this modern world, you know, you become less and less surprised at the actions and reactions to certain aspects in the realm of gaming. It almost seems to almost feel like it's becoming the normal thing of the realm, the gaming community being infested with idiots and morons, infested with fanboys and fangirls, that in some facet that thereof wouldn't know a good game if it came up and slapped him in the face. So let's talk about two things. We're going to talk a little bit more into Final Fantasy VII controversy, but first up is Destiny. Microtransactions. Transactions that at the time when they were originally announced, known, talked about, that kind of thing, it was like $30 and you could upgrade your character / class to level 25. And of course, a lot of people got in an uproar about this, Destiny having microtransactions, although iterating at the greater gratification at the same time that cosmetic DLC is okay. And this is where the gaming community is starting to seem more like it's full of a bunch of idiots and fucking morons than actual gamers. You can sit here and you can call it nostalgia, whatever excuse, because that's what it is. It's an excuse on your part to justify this kind of bullshit. It doesn't matter what the DLC is, microtransactions, cosmetic or otherwise. Even if you're that gamer that's like, well, it doesn't really affect me, I don't like it, but it doesn't affect me, that's you supporting it, you dumb motherfucker. That makes you part of the fucking problem. It's kind of funny that Microsoft releases a gaming console, DRM infested, no used games, and everyone blows their fucking mind. And then they cave and they turn around and they change it. And even eventually they cave and they alter so you no longer have to buy the Kinect with the shitbox one. But lo and behold, when it comes to certain other aspects within the realm of gamers just can't seem to unite because we're just so divided. And the reality of it is, we're not really divided for any... We're divided. Because there's idiots out there that want to make excuses for this kind of bullshit. Like the motherfucker that wrote the article on Kotaku. He sits there and he talks about basically trashing the microtransactions, but at the same time, he also goes and defends them. He also then goes and defends the cosmetic DLC for Destiny, which is kind of ironic because, as someone pointed out in the comments section, you know, Kotaku got real pissed off about Evolve's microtransactions and their cosmetic DLC. Do you see the hypocrisy here? And this is why gaming is going to shit. It's full of a bunch of gamers that a game comes out and either the game is shitty, so they're gonna bitch about the DLC and the microtransactions just simply for that iteration. The game's shitty, so obviously that makes the DLC shitty. And yet a game like Destiny, which originally came out, was shitty, and then apparently over its course in time and a few updates started to get better. But microtransactions, cosmetic DLC, are they going to bitch about it like they did with Evolve? No, because it's okay. The game is good to go. They like the game, therefore it gets a motherfucking pass. We see this time and time again. Games getting a pass simply because their fan base is so high, or gamers are just stupid. Usually a combination of both, but Destiny doesn't really have a huge fan base within of itself. It's like a generic space Call of Duty. And then now, let's on this subject, jump into the Final Fantasy VII controversy once again. There was an article that came out that talked about rumors. I'm going to refer to it as rumor, not as factual, because who really knows, but nonetheless, rumors. And the link in the description box is not the original article that I found. I tried to look for it and I couldn't, but I found another website that was merely talking about it. So, that apparently Final Fantasy VII is not going to have a world map that you can travel along. And to sit there and to read actually a lot of these comments really shows how far gaming is falling when it comes to gamers within of itself. People were sitting there making excuses. Oh, well, every RPG is linear. Even if it has a world map that you could travel on, it's linear. How many of these dumb motherfucking Final Fantasy fanboys and fangirls were bitching about Final Fantasy XIII's linearness? But yet, once again, here we see it, a popular game gets a fucking pass. And ironically, it's not even the same game. It's going to be a remake, split up into 3 separate games that you're going to have to pay $60 for. Because the developers using the excuse that they can't fit it all on one disc. Which is also kind of hypocritical of them because they can't fit everything in the game, but they're going to take stuff out, but they're going to put more stuff in. You see, Square Enix themselves are feeding stupid shit to gamers, and gamers are accepting it. And it all comes back to the same thing, just like the microtransactions and cosmetic DLC, alright? People are willing to defend something that they like or enjoy, or even if it's popular. Because there are people that never even played Evolve, and they bitched about the DLC. And yet there are people that never played Destiny, and they're sitting there defending this shit. Hypocrisy all the way around, ladies and gentlemen. It really shows that gaming is falling because of gamers. It's ironic that we can unite for some things, but in other areas, although the majority of us may agree on it, we don't do shit. Except for the few that do YouTube videos. Maybe write an article here about the bullshit. But for the most part, it's a lot of gamers that have really lost touch and base with gaming. Just like developers have lost touch with gaming. I mean, how hard is this to figure out that the very people... Here, let me put this in a different perspective. It's kind of from a business perspective, alright? I'm going to ask you the question. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to, but if you feel like putting it in the comments before I iterate it, go for it. What is the purpose of a business? Yeah, what is the purpose of a business? A lot of people get this confused and mixed up. Alright? Now, if you haven't written down your answer in the comments video right now, here it comes. They confuse it with money. The purpose of a business is to make money. No, you're wrong. Alright? There's a difference between a purpose and a goal. The goal of every business is to make money. A purpose iterates to the greater gratification of something that the business must do. And they will always do it. But guess what? A business does not always make money. And this is where people, even business people, get this confused. The purpose of a business is not to make money. That is the goal of the business. So here we have an iteration of people in gaming, whether they're gamers, whether they're the actual business owners on a corporate board, or whether they're actually working for a corporation or some kind of business like a game journalist type business, IGN, etc. Because we've seen this excuse in the past when DLC was first started. well, the purpose of a business is to make money. No, you're wrong. You're an idiot. The purpose of a business is to make a quality product or service that will make them money. The goal of a business is to make money. It's not the other way around, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the purpose of a business is to make money and the goal of the business is to make a quality product or service. And yet, it all stems back because we look at gamers and who've been playing for many of these companies for years. Capcom used to be a respected company. Square Enix, back in the day when they were separate as Enix and Squaresoft, were respected companies. When they came together, they became less and less respected over time. Konami has lost its respect for gamers. Activision, Blizzard, the list could go on of popular, known developers and publishers that have lost their respect with gamers. And it's because they have, their mindset is completely different. They iterate that the purpose of a business is to make money. No, that is the goal of a business. And part of the problem is us gamers. You know, we continue to feed into the poor shit quality games that they bust out. And yes, you know, let's give you some examples. Skyrim. Was that a poor shit quality game? In all reality, yes, it was a poor shit quality game. When you base it on the iteration that the purpose of a business is to give you a quality product or service that will make them a profit, then yes, Skyrim at its finest, regardless if it made the company money or not, is irrelevant. Because we're talking about a specific type of product here. Video games, ladies and gentlemen. Alright? Video games are designed to be tested for bugs, errors, and shit like that. When you buy a game, it should not require a day one update. It should not require update throughout its first week or 2 weeks of release because the developers or publishers got too nitty-gritty and decided to rush the shit. That is poor quality. And what is that? That is poor quality making the business money. And now they're getting completely sidetracked and differated that, you know what, who cares about making a quality product? Because gamers are willing to buy a shitty, poor quality product. Even if the substance of the product is good, if there are things wrong with it which don't really make it a quality product, they're accepting of it. Because I could sit here and I could drag on the developers and the publishers, but at the end of the day, we're also a part of the problem. We are the equation. I once did a video talking about how I felt that developers lost their heart and their soul when it came to developing games, because it seems like it's more about money rather than quality, passion, and putting their heart into the very things that they create. And you know what? Maybe there are some developers that do that still to this day, but maybe they have to alter it because the publisher wants it out there faster. Hence why I said developer and publisher. You know, we've seen, for example, Electronic Arts do many bad things. Another company that used to be well respected. And yet, we still get new, smaller companies that end up biting the bullet and going to get their game published through Electronic Arts. And usually something goes wrong. We've seen this. And yet here we are in this modern generation, a bunch of gamers, game journalists, making excuses for DLC in general, for microtransactions in general. Which is kind of ironic because when DLC was first started and it turned out not to be what people were, everybody was voicing their thoughts and concerns about it. But now people are starting to become used to it because less and less gamers are standing up against it. Speaking with your wallet. And well, you know, it's not like we can't do this. We've seen ourselves do this. And ironically, when you think about it, sometimes we haven't even spoke with our wallet. We just literally made such a ruckus on social media that the developers, producers, what have you, ultimately felt that they have no choice but to change what they had initially planned to do. Because there's just so much negative feedback. And from that negative feedback, they can figure out, well, we're going to lose money on this. You know, it kind of reminds me of, I don't remember the game, but there was a game, I've talked about it before, that there was a lot of shit wrong with it. It was some kind of first-person shooter game. And people knew this before the game was even released. So there was supposed to be this like whole rally fucking thing where nobody was going to buy the game. But ultimately what happened? Everyone caved and they went out and bought the game anyway. It seems to me that not only have developers and publishers lost their heart and soul into developing a quality game that will make them money rather than a game that simply makes them money. Because that's what gaming is today. It's no longer about the quality of the game. It's about how many games they can shove in your face that will make them money rather than creating a quality game that will make them money. So here we are at Destiny, Final Fantasy VII, world map. People making excuses for them. Justifying it. Then again, people have been justifying cosmetic DLC for quite some time, the past few years. Making excuses for it. Because it doesn't affect you. And yet, in the long run, people don't realize that it does affect them. It's affecting them now. Why do you think that you have poorer quality games? Why do you think you have a good game like Skyrim that is released, but it's infested and requires a bunch of updates in order to be fixed? Why do you think, another example, Batman Arkham Knight for the PC. You can use every fucking bullshit excuse that you want. The developers can use every bullshit excuse that they want. But all video games are made on a fucking PC. There is absolutely no fucking excuse for a game to be released that is made on a PC to be released for the PC and works like fucking shit. No excuse whatsoever. That is clearly the signs of a company that is, guess what? Making a game solely for money. They don't care about the quality. They'd rather make a game that makes them money than a quality game that will make them money. And of course, there are gamers that buy and feed into this shit. They will defend them and the game and the microtransactions and the cosmetic DLC. Because at the end of the day, gamers, game developers, game producers have truly lost sight of what it means to make games and what it means to play games. I should be able to play a game and have fun and experience it without having to worry about paying for alternate costumes and shit like that. That should already be in the game. When it comes to a fighting game, Mortal Kombat, my personal favorite fighting game, because it's the first fighting game I ever played as a kid. I mean, I remember going in the backyard with my brother and sisters and pretending to literally be like in the video game, alright? And we'd play Mortal Kombat in the backyard. But now if I wanted to play it, I have to make sure I carry money with me because, you know, I want to play as Scarlet, but I don't have Scarlet, so I'm going to pay midway so I can use Scarlet in my imagination. And ironically, another thing to think about is, for example, fighting games. a lot of fighting games, when they release more characters, end up adding to half the cost of the original game, or sometimes more than the cost of the original game. And people want to sit here and justify and say that they need to make money. They're a business. Their purpose is to make money. No, you're a fucking idiot. You don't know fucking shit about a business. The purpose of a business is to make a quality product or service that will, their goal of a business, to make them money. Making money for a business is the goal. It is not the purpose, because the purpose must always be accomplished. A goal is what cannot always be accomplished. They will have moments where, yes, they do an amazing, great year. They made way more money than any previous year. And other years, boom, they drop. They made the worst amount of money that year because the quality, the service, whatever the case may be, did not sell to the consumer. You don't need a business degree to know this shit, ladies and gentlemen.